Drawing sheets and views. In this video, we'll take a look at adding title blocks to our project in Revit, and then adding views and schedules onto that title block. Let's get started. Just for reference, I'm going to create some walls on floor plan 1. And we might add to that a little bit later. But we've got a floor plan. We now need to put it on a sheet so we can plot it out and give it to someone who wants to either review our design or build our design. Over in the project browser, under Sheets, we'll right-click and select New Sheet. When we do that, we get a dialog box that is called New Sheet. We can bring the highlighted title block into our project by hitting OK. Or we can load separate title blocks from here by selecting this. So if we don't want a 30 by 42 horizontal title block, we can load it. We'll go to the U.S. Imperial Library, and if we scroll down to the bottom, we can get to a folder called Title Blocks. And here we can pick whichever one we want of different sizes. But for now, a 30 by 42 is fine, and we'll hit OK. And this is what the title block in Revit looks like. Back in our project browser, we can see that Sheets now has a plus next to the folder. So we can open up that folder and see that this sheet is now listed under Sheets. You can see the A101 is the A101 here. To bring views onto the title block, all we have to do is go to our project browser, select the view we want, left click and hold, and drag the view onto the title block. When we let go of the left mouse button, we'll see the size of the viewport. That's dependent on the size of the drawing that the viewport is and the scale that you're bringing it in at in relation to the size of the title block. We'll place this in the lower corner and left click again, and now it is placed. And so now we have a floor plan view on our title block. Once the view is on the title block, we can see that now the title block listed in our project browser now lists the view that is on the title block. You can drag schedules and legends if they were created onto the title block in the same manner. If you would like to add more views, say you needed another floor plan for either a floor finish plan or a dimension plan or a structural plan, in addition to the floor plan that you have, you can always right-click on that view and duplicate the view, duplicate it with detailing, or duplicate as a dependent. If you need a refresher course on what these mean, you can always look at week 5 from our course and look at the videos there. Keep in mind that the view on the sheet is also the actual model. So if you modify the walls or any part of the model from the title block, you're actually affecting the Revit model that you've created. But how might you do that? If I click right here, I'm only affecting the viewport. If you hover within the viewport and you right click, you can activate the view. And as you do that, you can see that the title block, and if we had other views placed on this sheet, they would also be grayed out. And now you can modify the actual model itself. Not only can you modify the model, but you can modify how it looks or the scale that it is. Note that if we make the scale bigger, I deactivated the view there. Now I can move the viewport around. The view, the model, is much bigger in relation to the title block. I'm going to right click, activate the view, take it back to 8 scale, so it'll be half the size. Right click, deactivate the view, and put the viewport back. And that is how you can activate and deactivate the views on the sheet so you can modify the model. Here's our floor plan view on the right, and here's our floor plan view on the title block on the left. And you can see that it doesn't matter if I modify that model in the view itself or if I activate the view from the title block and modify the model there. I had mentioned that when you place the view on a sheet, the view is listed underneath the sheet in the project browser here. But a duplicate of that, or a duplicate title of that view, is also located here. If I double click on level 1, it takes me to this view. If I double click on this level 1, it takes me to the exact same view. In other words, these are the exact same view. They are not separate. Now, some people like to have Revit not show the views up here if they've been placed on a sheet. I prefer this. That way I know which views have been placed on sheets just by looking at the sheets if they're not listed up in this section. In order for Revit to list the project browser in that manner, we'll need to go to our View tab. And if we go way to the end here on User Interface, on the drop-down menu, we can get to Browser Organization. And we can click the Not on Sheets filter. And if we hit OK, we can see that the level 1 floor plan has disappeared. And it is only showing up on the sheet that has been placed. The last thing we'll talk about in this video is the View Reference tag. This can be found on the Annotate tab, Tag panel, and it is this tool right here, the View Reference. We can use this when we have a note that we want to reference another drawing. To create another drawing, let's very quickly make a detail call out. And we don't need to modify that, but we now have this level 1 detail call out that we just created from this. I'm going to go ahead and deactivate this view. I'm going to create another sheet. There's A102, and I'm going to bring this detail onto this sheet. So now I have A101 here. I have A102 with the detail on it, and I have our floor plan here. And you can see that this call out is for the detail on sheet 1, detail 1, sheet A102. So this is A102, and you can see that that detail is detail 1. So what we can do is, if we were going to add a note, maybe I'm going to activate this view again. Maybe we're going to create a note here, text note, and we'll say, for this corner construction, see detail. And we'll want Revit to point to the detail that is called out from this call out. But if the number ever changed, we'd want Revit to keep that change correct. So we can use the View Reference tag. Again, that's on the View tab. View Reference tool. We can click on that and we can put it right here. Now it's already stating 1 on A102, but that's coming from up here. We can change level 2. So if we picked floor plan level 2, it has no numbers because level 2 hasn't been placed on a sheet. And level 1 is not going to show us anything because that's the view that we're in. So we'll pick 1 on A102. That text is smaller because this is big text. There we go. And that's the View Reference tag. And so, if this number ever changes, here, this detail, right now it's detail 1 on A102, detail 1 on sheet A102, but if I came in and changed this detail to even an A, you can see that this gets modified. And that's the View Reference tag.